Angels are a fascinating but complicated subject, not only in theology but also in art history. Last week's video discussed the only 4 angels that are mentioned by name in the Bible, which are Gabriel, Michael, Lucifer and Abaddon. But depending on which religion you look at, there may be a 5th angel described in the book of Tobit, which is Raphael, and we get to that story in a bit. Today's video will look at some more complicated questions, like why angels are always depicted with wings, and why they often have whitish wings, but sometimes darker, bright colored or multicolored ones. Is there any logic to that, or is that just a result of artistic freedom because the appearance of angels is not clearly and uniformly described in historical sources? So back to the angel Raphael, described in the book of Tobit, which for several religions is part of the canon, while for others it is considered an apocryphal book. It is a story about a blind man called Tobit, his son Tobias, and their relative Sarah. The family of Sarah owns Tobit some significant money, and one day he sends his son Tobias to retrieve it. It will be quite a trip to get there, and on his way Tobias is joined by another human, which is actually the angel Gabriel, even though Tobias does not know that. Long story short, Gabriel will protect Tobias on his way, and Sarah and Tobias will get married. And at the end of the story, with the help of Raphael, the blindness of Tobit is cured. And as you can see in these paintings, this story was particularly popular in the 16th and 17th centuries. And that brings us to the bigger questions on how angels are portrayed across art history, starting with their wings. When we see someone with wings in a painting, we can be almost certain that this is an angel, except for maybe a couple of very specific stories, like the mythological story of Icarus, where his father created a pair of wings for him to fly. But until the 4th century AD, angels were not depicted with wings. The specific appearance of an angel is not consistently described in the Bible, though sometimes some hints are given about their appearance. Like cherubs and seraphs, which are types of angels who only reside in heaven, and they are the only angels described in the Bible as having wings, and in their case more than one type of wings. But more on that in a later video. Another example comes from the 10th chapter of the book of Daniel, where an angel is described as, "I looked up and I saw a man standing in front of me. He was wearing linen clothes. He wore a belt made of pure gold around his waist. His body was like a smooth, shiny stone. His face was bright like lightning. His eyes were like flames of fire. His arms and feet were shiny like polished brass." In some paintings, you can recognize some of these features, like the linen clothes and golden belt in this painting from 1875 by Jules Bastien Lepage. But as different sources describe angels differently, there has been little consensus among artists on how to depict angels. According to Saint Augustine, an influential father of the Church, the theological idea is that angels are spirits, while their job is to be a messenger of God. And as spirits do not have a physical body, they can take different forms, sometimes in the shape of a human, but that is just one of the shapes they may take, which leaves their appearance open to interpretation. Great for artists as they could use their creativity to depict them, but not always great for us, as it's harder to identify them in art. So why do angels have wings since the 4th century? Well, the word angel comes from the Latin word angelus, which means messenger of God. And just like birds were used as messengers in those times, and they have wings, and the mythological messenger Hermes is shown with winged shoes, it was also not a strange idea to give wings to angels. The idea was that angels would need them to travel between the physical and spiritual world. And by depicting them with wings, they were clearly separated from normal human beings. In the 4th century, the church father Saint John Chrysostom explained the depiction of angels with wings as follows. wings manifest a nature's sublimity. That is why Gabriel is represented with wings. Not that angels have wings, but that you may know that they leave the heights and the most elevated dwelling to approach human nature. Accordingly, the wings attributed to these powers have no other meaning than to indicate the sublimity of their nature. So, early artists who were thinking on how to depict angels sought inspiration from art in the centuries before, like how the Etruscans depicted some figures. Or from the winged goddess of victory from Greek mythology, where Victoria or Nike was depicted with wings, most famously known from the famous statue of the winged victory of Samothrace, which was made in the 2nd century BC. And supported by the words of Saint John Chrysostom, painting angels with wings became the norm, and that has basically not changed since. Look at this Mystic Nativity painting from 1500 by Sandro Botticelli. It shows a bunch of angels on the top, some with one white wing and one green one or a red one, but also ones with multicolored wings. Why is that? The most common color of the wings of angels is white or whitish, where the color white refers to the purity of the angels. And when it's a fallen angel, the color of their wings becomes darker. There was also a period during the early Italian Renaissance when gold leaf was used extensively, and as that was relatively expensive, it was used for some of the important parts of the painting, including the wings of the angels, as in this painting of the coronation of the Virgin by Fra Angelico. The idea was that angels were very close to God, and gold was the divine color. Sometimes wings are just painted with one or two bright colors, like blue on the bottom and red on the top, like in this painting from 1490 by the master of Seitenstetten. And in the Meloon diptych from the middle of the 15th century, the angels are actually depicted as completely red or blue. In this case, the angels are seraphs and cherubs, and the distinction between different types of angels is a good subject for a future video. But in short, the general perception is that these angels do not visit Earth and only act in heavenly spheres. The color blue for these angels and their wings symbolizes truth, knowledge and understanding, which refers to the messages or predictions that the angels often deliver. And red is the color typically associated with passion, fire and divine love, so it would be a referral to the angel's fervent commitment to God. And then there are multicolored wings. Here's a painting of the Annunciation of the birth of Jesus by the angel Gabriel to Mary. You can see the colorful wings that the Belgian artist Jan van Eyck gave the angel in the colors of the rainbow. An Italian artist also painted colorful wings at times, like this work from 1506 by Andrea Previtali, although the colors are a bit more subtle here. Just like Raphael included some subtle colors in his depiction of the Archangel Michael. The exact explanation of why they painted these multicolored wings is somewhat unclear, but my best understanding is that it relates to the medieval idea of feminine beauty, and rainbow wings were considered beautiful, and thus would be appropriate for an angel. Another idea that was relevant at that time was that lower level angels would have white wings, while more important angels who were mentioned by name like Gabriel or Michael would have more colorful wings to distinguish themselves from the lesser angels. And one more note, most of the art discussed so far is Christian art, but interestingly in Islamic art most angels are commonly depicted with colorful wings, as you can see here. Well, I hope that this video is interesting and that it helps us to understand a bit better why angels have wings and why the colors of their wings vary quite a bit. Please feel free to share any thoughts or questions in the comment section down below. I always love reading them. And if you want to support the channel, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.